Hi guys, Happy New Year. This is going to be one of the hardest videos that I've ever have to record, but I wanted to do this video because I think it's really important that I share my experiences of losing a child, Geneva, to mental health. Because even as I record this video, there will be families that will be waking up today or later on this evening, and they'll be going through exactly the same sadness and sorrow and grief that I'm currently going through. Since Geneva passed away, there has been over 5 families, possibly more, that have all lost a child, a young adult, maybe someone my age or younger, to mental health. And some of the high-profile celebrities that have also suffered mental health and has subsequently taken their lives include fashion designer Kate Spade, who took her life last year, June. Tina Turner's older son took his life back in July. We have comedian and actor Robin Williams, who took his life, and Alexandra McQueen also took his life. So mental health and suicide can affect anybody. It's not a respecter of your social background, your education. You can be rich or poor. It really doesn't matter. Just as death is not a respecter of person, mental health is not a respecter of person, and it can really literally affect anybody. And so yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. So back in September, end of September last year, Geneva rang me and she was really upset. She was crying on the phone and I was really shocked and I was actually worried. And I said to her, "Baby, what's wrong?" And she proceeded to tell me that she was upset. She was stressed about schoolwork and other things. So I said to her that stay where you are, I will drive down and pick you up, which is exactly what I did. So I've driven down to Imperial College where she was studying for her masters. I must just say that when Geneva gained admission to do her masters, I wasn't really happy with her decision to do her masters so soon after achieving the first class honours. I felt that she should have taken up the job offers that were offered to her and work for a year, because my whole viewpoint was that there was no point in acquiring all of this knowledge. You know, she's achieved the first class honours, so I felt that she should have taken a year out from studying, work, get into the workplace, and if at a later date she then decided that going for masters was something that she really wanted to do and it will be of benefit and it will create more opportunities for her, then yeah, do it after working. But she was insistent and she kept on going on and on and on, and then in the end, reluctantly, through Marco going on that, "Oh babes, let's just, you know, support her. This is what she wants to do, fine, then let her do it." So obviously we supported her, took her down to Imperial College, and she seemed, you know, okay, because this is what she wanted to do. And so I've driven down to pick her up. She wasn't really in a good place because she had been crying for quite a while prior to me picking her up. So I've picked her up, and during our car journey home, I was trying to get to the bottom of why she felt so low and why she was so upset. And she really didn't give me anything concrete to work with other than the fact that she was just feeling really, really stressed, and she had a lot of coursework that she had to get her head round. So I said to her when we got back home that, okay, why don't you spend the weekend at home? I'll cook dinner for you. Ori and Rocco will be really, really excited to see you. And initially she agreed, because at that point she had stopped crying and she was less upset, and we were even giggling and talking about her cousin's forthcoming wedding that we were all due to go to. And she seemed okay, and I was in the kitchen, and she came into the kitchen and she said, "Mummy, I'm going to go back to university." And I was like, "Why have you got to go back to university, Junebug? Why don't you just, spend the weekend at home, relax, and then you can go back Sunday evening?" But she was really insistent. And she said, "No, Mummy, I've got a lot of work to do. I've got a presentation that I need to hand in, and I don't want to let the rest of my group down." And I weren't happy, but I thought, well, she's not crying anymore, and she seems really okay within herself, because, as I said, we were laughing and giggling. So I thought, okay, then fair enough. So I called a cab for her and put her in a cab, and she went back to her university, Imperial College. Throughout that weekend, I was in contact with her, I was speaking to her, and she seemed fine. I actually wanted to pop back to see her that weekend, but she said she had back-to-back lectures, and that in the evening she was going to go and watch the new Lady Gaga's movie, A Star Is Born. So I thought, great, she's with her girlfriend, she's fine. And then on the Sunday, got a phone call from one of her aunts, and she rang and she said, had myself or Marco spoken to Geneva? And I was like, yeah, I spoke to her earlier on in the afternoon and she seemed fine. And then her aunt said, I think you better pop back down to her halls of residence, because I've just come off the phone with her and she didn't sound too great. She sounded like she had taken something. So I was really, really scared and panicky at that point. So I've said, babes, quick, let's drive down to the university, to her halls of residence, and let's see what's happening. As we've arrived at her students' accommodation, we've gone upstairs, and we had to kind of force entry into her room. And we found Geneva semi-conscious. She had taken a cocktail of things, and I was in such a state of shock that I couldn't catch my breath. I was just standing there looking at Geneva, trying to wake her up. And I don't really remember calling the ambulance, but I know I did, because Marco was walking around her room trying to figure out, what was going on, and trying to get her to be a lot more conscious than she was when we gained entry into her room. So the paramedics came and they got her into a better state of consciousness, and she was rushed to the hospital. Marco drove with her in the ambulance while I drove behind, and so when we got to the hospital, she was rushed into accident and emergency, and then quickly transferred into intensive care. And while she was in intensive care, the consultants and the nurses sat us down in the family waiting room, and they basically said to us that it's going to be touch and go. She's not in a great way, and that we basically have to just wait, but they're doing everything they can to treat her. And so we spent most of the evening, early hours of the morning, at hospital, waiting for news to see if she had come to, and if she had come round, and if she was recovering or responding to the treatment that the doctors and nurses were giving her. And eventually they said that she's stable and we could go home. So, we got home. I'm in bits, Marco's in bits, but we try to not show it in front of Ori and Rocco. By this point, the rest of my family had heard that Geneva had attempted to take her own life, and they were calling and wanting to find out what had happened. And so she was in intensive care. She was on a dialysis machine, and she spent a total of 11 days in hospital. When she was able to speak to us, and she never really gave a reason or how she was feeling. She only just said that she was just really, really stressed, and it was an impulsive action, and she was just really, really sorry. And the psychiatric doctors and nurses that spoke to her and then spoke to me never said that Geneva suffering from depression or that she had bipolar. They all said that it was an emotional issue, that she was suffering from an adjustment, suffering from changes and adjustment disorder. So I guess in a sense that is actually a form of mental health. And they said that she didn't need to go on any antidepressants or anything like that, that the course of treatment for her would be talking therapy, which I was happy with, because I just felt that if she was unable to speak to me or any of her cousins or her aunts, then speaking to a neutral person outside of our family network, that would, be the best course of action for her. So that was the plan. And so that period, so the weekend just before she was discharged from hospital, we had to go to our family's wedding, the wedding that Geneva should have attended, but obviously she wasn't in any fit state to attend. So we've gone down to celebrate the wedding of our cousin, and we actually did a FaceTime with Geneva, and she seemed okay. I never once thought that, oh my gosh, she's gonna, try it again, or she's not right, because I felt she's in a safe environment, she's fine. And so we've come home, we were speaking to her. She said that the local care team, the local mental health care team, would be visiting her, which they did. And when they visited her, they gave her a prescription of antidepressants and sleeping tablets, which I wasn't happy about, because I just thought that, why are we going down the route of medication? Why can't we explore other avenues first before trying to dose up my child on antidepressants and sleeping pills? But Geneva said that they said the prescription was only for a week, and even that didn't make any sense to me, but I wasn't privy, because she was 22, I wasn't privy to see any of her medical records, and I really didn't have a say in her treatment other than the fact that they had said they were going to do the talking therapy. So anything else, I was powerless to do anything, essentially. And so I spoke to Geneva on the 15th of October, and we had a really long, beautiful conversation. She apologised for putting us all through this stress and everything, and I just tried to reiterate to her just how beautiful she was, how incredibly proud I was of her, and I just wanted her to know that we all loved her. I loved her more than anything, and I said to her that, look, the doctors and nurses that I see in the UK, they're trying to do their job, you know, this is what they're trained for, but they don't have the same level of invested interest in you than I do, because I'm your mum and I don't want to lose my firstborn. So whatever it takes, we will go private, just whatever you need, baby, I will give it to you. And she was like, it's okay, mummy, I'm fine. I'm really sorry for everything that's happened. And yeah, and that was the 15th of October, and that was the last time that I spoke to Geneva. The following day, the Tuesday, the 16th of October, Marco was at a training course, and Geneva rang him in the morning, but he was unable to pick the phone call up. And so when he did try to call her back, he didn't get any answer. And I didn't speak to Geneva that Tuesday, because she had already told me the day before that she was going to be really busy, and then she had the appointments with the local mental health team. And so around 5 o'clock-ish, towards 6 o'clock, when Marco came home, he said, babes, have you spoken to Geneva today? And I was like, no, but I'll send her a message now just to make sure. I don't want her to think, oh, we're suddenly keeping an eye on her and that. And then Ori came into our bedroom, and she said, Mum, have you heard from Geneva? And I was like, no. And then I thought, why don't we just quickly drive down just to make sure she's okay, because it might be a case of her that she's falling asleep, or she's charging her phone, or she's in lectures. And so myself and Marco drove down to her halls of residence. And when we were driving down, there was something within me. I don't know what it was, but there was just something in me that I just knew that she had already gone. She was already dead. But I didn't say that to Marco. I just kept it within myself. And I was trying to keep hope alive. I was hoping for the best, but a part of me was preparing myself for the worst. So we've arrived at her students' accommodation, and I was too scared to go upstairs this time, so I opted to sit downstairs, and Marco and the security guard went upstairs into her room, and that's where they found her dead. And as I was sitting downstairs, I was calling Marco, because it felt like he had gone for such a long, long time. Like, it just felt ages that I was sat downstairs in reception, but he weren't picking up his phone. And then through my peripheral vision, I saw the paramedics running straight past me. Then I saw the police running straight past me, and then I saw the fire brigade and everyone running straight past me. And then it just like dawned on me that Geneva, they were going up to Geneva's room, and as they were running into the doors, I saw Marco coming down, and he was just walking, and he just looked so white and hollow, and his eyes were red and swollen. And I don't even think he actually saw me walking towards him, because he just walked straight into the back office. And I went into the back office after him. Then I said, "Babes, where is she?" And he just looked at me and he just held my hand and he just said, "She's gone." And I said, "What do you mean she's gone?" And he's just said, "Our baby's gone, our baby's gone." And then I just sat on the floor and I just started to cry, and I just kept on shouting, tell them to wake her up, tell them to. I'm really sorry. I don't want to cry because I've spent so long crying. And I was just shouting. Tell them to wake her up. Tell them to wake her up. And I just kept on saying, why? Why she left me? Why would she leave me? I couldn't understand. And by then, I rang one of my older sisters, and she came down, and then my nephews, and yeah, that whole evening, night was just a blur. I couldn't speak to the police or anything, because I just couldn't get my head around it. It just felt like a really, really bad dream, and I couldn't understand why she would leave me. You know, why would my firstborn leave me? And so after what felt like ages and ages and ages, we were eventually allowed to go back home. And then we went home. By the time we had got home, I'd already had a couple of family members had already turned up at our house, and Rocco didn't wake up, but Ori did, and we had to tell her, and she burst into tears. And then everything since then has just been a complete and utter blur. I've spent so much time. I spent so much time trying to get my head around everything, and it felt like I was watching the season finale of my own life. I couldn't breathe. I couldn't leave my bedroom. I couldn't eat. It was just so suffocating for me. The funeral was just horrible. As a matter of fact, I didn't want to do the funeral. I didn't get involved in any of the funeral arrangements. Only towards the very end, everybody was begging me to get involved and choose her flowers, and so we went to the florist, Marco and I, to choose her flowers. And again, that whole process, it was just so painful. It just felt like my heart had been ripped out of my rib cage. And because I was just thinking, I'm supposed to be choosing flowers for her wedding day, you know? And here I am going through a catalogue of various floral arrangements for a funeral. It just did not feel right, and it didn't feel real, but I somehow managed to get through it through floods of tears. Her body was released, and we had a viewing for family and close friends that wanted to view her. I didn't want to view her because I didn't want to have that image in my head, and it would have given me no closure whatsoever. But Ori really wanted to see her sister, and so Marco and my sisters and my cousins took Ori to view her. And I'm just so surprised at how she coped with everything. She was able to get through the viewing, and it allowed her to come to terms with the loss of her older sister. And so we did the funeral a few days, was it a few days or a few weeks? I'm sorry, I can't remember. But we did the funeral, and her funeral was the day after we should have been at university doing her graduation ceremony. And again, all of that just knocked the wind out of me, because I never got that opportunity to stand next to her in her graduation garments and just be the proudest mum ever, you know. And the university sent all of her awards and her certificate in the post to us, which was really lovely. A lot of her lecturers attended her funeral, as well as her university friends, and all of them, they all said the same thing. They are just in complete and utter shock. It was just the most surreal, painful experience ever. And so now I'm at the stage where I want to share my story, because I think it's really important, because for a long time my confidence as a mum was not. And I weren't necessarily blaming myself, I just felt I couldn't. Why was I unable to not get through to her? Why did she want to leave me? But since I've been able to clear my head, as it were, because when I was at my lowest, I actually contemplated taking my own life, because it just felt, death would have felt way better than I was currently feeling. Waking up every day with this pain that was just consuming me, with this sorrow and grief, and always crying. I didn't care about Ori or Rocco or Marco or my family, not because I don't love them, obviously I do, but it just felt that I was no good to them if I was unable to fix myself. And now I'm walking around our house and I can hear the sadness and the sorrows from family members, friends that came. And that was literally what pulled me out of that state of mind that I wanted to kill myself. Was that I'm walking around my house and I can see the impact and devastation that suicide has had in my family. And now I'm thinking, so do you want to put your family through another set of grief? And so I had to fix myself and accept what has happened. There was nothing that I could have done to prevent Geneva from taking her life. And statistically, when a person attempts to commit suicide, and if they're unsuccessful the first time, they will try it again and they will succeed, as is the case with Geneva. And she had a lot of support. She was a loved child. She was my firstborn. I loved her more than I loved myself because she was my firstborn. And then this is what mental health does to you. It convinces you, and it is an illness, it is a terminal illness, and I wouldn't want that for my child. Nothing I could have done to have prevented it. She had all of the support and love, but because of her mental health, she was unable to reach out for that support. And so all I really want to say is that if you know someone in your world that is struggling with mental health, or if you've had issues with yourself, and the thing is, we all suffer from a degree of mental health, okay? We just need to get rid of all of the stigma surrounding mental health. It affects everyone. It's affected me, my husband. The difference is that most of us are able to recognise our trigger points and we're able to pull ourselves back, but some of us just are not able to. And so having a listening ear, having someone that they can speak to, makes all of the difference. And so there are a lot of organisations, some of which I'm going to leave in the comment box below. And I just want to really encourage you. And if you're a parent or if you're family and you've lost a child, just know this, okay? There's nothing you could have done. Your child, my child, was loved. It was a case of mental health. Now, mental health may have taken your loved one, but it doesn't need to take your future or your life. And as much as my life has changed and it's broken and life feels pretty crap right now, hence that I still love life, as hard as it is waking up each moment, each morning, knowing that I'm never going to see Geneva again. I still love life because life is precious. And when people say, oh, you know, life goes on, all the rest of it, yeah, it's true. Life does go on, but now you get to decide what kind of life you want to go on. So all I really want to say is thank you to everyone that reached out to me. If you are suffering from any form of mental health, you're feeling a little bit low, find someone to talk to, contact the organisations that I'm going to leave in the comment box below. And if you don't have access to those organisations and you want to talk to someone, talk to me. I will listen, I will support, and I will try and encourage you as best as I can. Okay, thank you for watching. God bless, and hopefully I will see you on my next video. Thank you. Bye.